Which 200cc motorcycle is the best for you? A few years ago, when we turned up at a 200cc motorcycle test, we had 2, maybe 3 motorcycles. Look at this. We have 7 motorcycles here in all sorts of shapes and sizes. We've got proper track weapons, we've got street nakeds, we've got touring motorcycles, air-cooled bikes, liquid-cooled bikes, a little bit of everything. There's a motorcycle here for everybody. Welcome to Evo India and welcome to our 200cc motorcycle comparison test. Before we go ahead, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the Evo India channel and let us know down in the comments below, which of these bikes would you want in your garage? In this video, we're going to break things down and tell you what each motorcycle is good at and what it's not so good at. And we're going to back that up with hard data. We're doing acceleration as well as braking tests of all these bikes here, tested by the V-Box testing equipment. We're doing this test in association with TVS Eurogrip tires, just to make sure these bikes perform at their absolute peak. You see some of these bikes here, they're owned by enthusiasts who follow Evo India and Fast Bikes India. Some of the other bikes here, they're pressed bikes and they've been used and used hard. And the idea here is to make sure that there's no differentiation in terms of something like tire wear. All these bikes are shod on TVS Eurogrip tires in their OE sizes so that we can get reliable and accurate data for you. But before we go ahead, let me introduce you to all the competitors we have here. Let's start with the Hero Xpulse 200T. This is the most affordable motorcycle in the test, rupees 1.18 lakhs ex-showroom. And it is essentially based on the off-road focused Xpulse 200, but it is its own motorcycle. Following that, we have the Xtreme 200S, rupees 1.24 lakh ex-showroom. It shares a lot of parts with the Xpulse, but it is a fully fared motorcycle. After that is the benchmark in this class, the TVS Apache RTR 200 4V. That's a long name, but it combines power, it combines performance, it combines usability into a surprisingly good package. Rupees 1.37 lakhs ex-showroom. After that, we have the Pulsar NS 200, rupees 1.4 lakhs. It is arguably the most popular motorcycle in this class, and it brings to the table technology like liquid cooling and a lot of other cool stuff. Following that, the RS 200, essentially a fully fared NS, but with radically different styling. Rupees 1.6 lakh ex-showroom. After that, we have the expensive stuff. This is the KTM 200 Duke, rupees 1.84 lakh, and this is the most powerful bike amongst this whole lot over here. And what you see here is the RC 200. This is the only motorcycle in this lot to cross rupees 2 lakh in its ex-showroom prices. So it is very expensive compared to that Xpulse T all the way over there. How do they all square up against each other? Let's start with that Xpulse 200T. I wouldn't go so far as to call the Xpulse 200T a tourer. The main frame, it may be shared with the off-road focused Xpulse 200, but the rest of the parts, the front forks, the swing arm, the monoshock, the brakes, they're all off the Xtreme 200R, which was essentially a street naked motorcycle. So in that sense, the Xpulse 200T is a retro style naked motorcycle. In terms of the performance, it's got a 2-valve motor, it's not very sophisticated, and the outputs show that. It makes 17.8 bhp, 16.1 Nm of torque, and those are fairly less than some of the other bikes we have in this test. Even in terms of its performance on the road, it was the slowest motorcycle from 0 to 60 kilometers an hour. It was 4.8 seconds, which is more than a second slower than the fastest bike on this test. In terms of the way it delivers its power, the power is, well, concentrated in the low to mid-range. There's not too much in the high end, so there's no point really screaming it to the red line. You might as well short shift it when you're at 6,500, 7,000 RPM and use that low-end grunt, that torque, and ride it around. And that low-end power delivery actually makes it really good in the city because it's tractable. At that low end, when you want those quick overtakes, you can make them. At lower speeds, it's very easy to ride and it's really comfortable in the city. Does it do the touring bit? That is not so great because the Xpulse 200T is most comfortable around 85-90 kilometers an hour on the highway. More than that, if you're asking for a quick overtake at 90 kilometers an hour, it runs out of breath. So at higher speeds, it's not as competent. And to that end, it doesn't do the touring part of its name too well. The strengths of the X-Pulse lie in its chassis. It's really well balanced. So if you want to have a little bit of fun in the hills without intimidating amounts of power, the X-Pulse T is a motorcycle that you can look at. It's really balanced, very nimble, and when you're in the middle of the corner, it's extremely confidence inspiring. It really feels stable and comfortable in the bends. You do feel the raked out front end, so the steering is a little slow, but apart from that, it's really enjoyable in the corners. I'm not going to get too much into styling because styling is subjective, but the X-Pulse 200T does look unique amongst this lot. All those bikes over there, they're all about cuts and creases and slashes. This one, simple, a round headlamp, very clean design on the tank and very easy on the eyes. What I can talk about is the features that the X-Pulse has. It does have Bluetooth, so you can connect it to your phone, and you do have turn-by-turn navigation, which is a nice thing to have at this price point. And that price point is rupees 1.18 lakhs, which, like I said before, is the most affordable in this segment. So if you're looking for value, the X-Pulse 200T is certainly a motorcycle that you should be looking at. Now let's see how the Hero X-Pulse 200T fared in our performance tests. There are faster, fully fed motorcycles in this test, but none of them are as affordable as this, the Xtreme 200S. Rupees 1.24 lakhs for a fully fed 200cc motorcycle, that's really good value. In terms of price, it actually competes with motorcycles a segment down. But then again, the performance isn't as good as the other 200s in this test. In our 0 to 100 times, it did 0.3 seconds faster than the X-Pulse 200T, so it's not really setting any racetracks on fire anytime soon. In terms of its outputs, the power is the same as the X-Pulse 200T, 17.8 bhp. The torque is marginally more, 16.45 Nm of torque. And in terms of the way it makes that power, the power characteristics, they're very similar to the X-Pulse. So everything I said there holds true for this motorcycle as well. A power band that is concentrated in the low to mid-range, not very powerful top end, motorcycle that runs out of breath post 90-95 kilometers an hour. So you need to realize that this isn't as high performance as the other fully fed motorcycles in this test, but it is great value. And the chassis, again, very well balanced. It has those strengths that Hero has showcased to us in their recent launches. It feels very nimble, very stable, and really confidence inspiring. Now the thing about fully fed motorcycles is that their ergonomics can get really tiring for the city, not the Xtreme 200S. This actually has a flat handlebar, no clip-ons here, and even the foot pegs, they're fairly comfortable. So your seating position is upright, comfortable, and you can maneuver this bike very easily in the city. It never gets tiring to sit on. And that's, I think, one of its biggest pros, because this is a very cool looking fully fed bike. It looks aggressive, but when you're seated on it, it's really comfortable and plush. Now the price is rupees 1.25 lakh ex showroom. So just like the X-Pulse 200T, this is really good value. Hero is really changing the game by offering great value for money bikes in the 200cc segment. Now let's see how the Hero Xtreme 200S fared in our performance tests. The TVS Apache RTR 200 4V. It has traditionally been the benchmark in the segment for providing thrills at a value for money proposition. This BS6 bike, it does the same, at least on paper. Just look at the amount of features it has, yeah? Preload adjustable front suspension, riding modes, ABS modes. It's got the glide through traffic functionality. It's got adjustable both clutch and brake levers. And you've got telemetry. You can hook it up to your phone and it'll tell you lap times, it'll tell you 0 to 60 times, it'll tell you lean angle. It's crazy the amount of stuff this Apache can do. But features don't make a motorcycle. You need to ride a motorcycle to truly understand what it's like. And in that sense, the Apache, well, it continues to impress. It makes 20.8 bhp, 17.25 Nm of torque. And that may not sound like much. The Pulsars, the KTMs, they make more power. But the Apache has a secret trick up its sleeve. It's extremely light, 152 kgs curb weight. That makes it the lightest motorcycle in its test. And that shows in its performance as well. Off the line, it feels sprightly. When you roll onto the throttle, it gives you a good kick. And it shows in the data as well. It did a 0 to 60 km/h time in 4.2 seconds, which is impressive. Now mind you, all these figures and this performance is in sport mode. You can put it into urban mode that cuts the power slightly, little over 17 horsepower in urban mode. And honestly, it's not that enjoyable in urban mode. You want to keep it in sport, you want all that punch all of the time. But the good thing about urban mode is that it can allow you to save fuel. The mileage figures in urban mode are better. So if you're nearing the end of the month and your fuel bills are looming, maybe just switch to urban mode, ride it out till the end of the month till your next salary comes. The engine itself, it's a lovely engine. It revs enthusiastically, freely, and at the same time, it's very refined. You have barely any vibes at low, medium revs. It's only at the far end, the top reaches of the rev range, that you actually get some vibes at the pegs and at the handlebar. But for the most part, really refined, really smooth, and really punchy, really enthusiastic. The chassis is very impressive on the Apache. It is, after all, tuned by TVS Racing, and it shows in the way it handles on the road. The front end is really flickable. It's got a narrow front tire, narrower than all the other bikes here, and that makes the steering extremely light. So when you tip it into a bend, it's very light and it tips in really quickly. The downside of that is that when you're in the middle of the corner and you do send inputs unconsciously through the steering wheel, the front end reacts to it. So you need to be really conscious of what you're doing. Grip the tank with your knees and not give it any steering input in the middle of the corner, because it will react to that. The ride quality is very impressive as well. Despite it being such a sporty motorcycle, despite it being so enthusiastic in the corners, it rides very well over bad roads. It's really composed, it's really easy to ride, and it deals with bad roads, potholes, all of that very confidently. The TVS Apache isn't perfect. The other motorcycles in this test, they have 6 speeds. This one, it has only 5 speeds. And do I miss it? Honestly, in the city, I don't. But when you're doing high speeds on the highway, when you're doing 105, 110 kilometers an hour, I do find myself reaching for another gear. Also, the seating position. It's comfortable with your upper body, but the lower body can get a little cramped. The pegs are fairly high up, and taller riders might find this uncomfortable. Something else that I don't like is the fact that it doesn't have a side stand indicator or a side stand cutoff. Now overall, the Apache is very impressive. It does a great job of straddling the ability to ride and be comfortable in the city, but at the same time offering you thrills and performance when you hit the weekend roads. And it does that at a great price. 1.37 lakhs makes this Apache really good value for money. Now let's check out how the TVS Apache RTR 204V fared in our performance tests. The NS200 was an important motorcycle for the Pulsar family. It debuted liquid cooling, the twin spar frame. It became a properly modern, sporty motorcycle. Now, we've ridden this bike a lot. We've also done some really cool shit on it, including breaking a world record. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. The link should appear on the screen right now. But let's talk specs first. The Pulsar, it makes 24.1 bhp. That makes it the most powerful of any of the other bikes we've seen so far. And in terms of performance, it has it as well. In the 0 to 60 km/h time, it did a flat 4 seconds, which is pretty good. But I also need to talk about the way the Pulsar makes its power. All of that power is concentrated at the top end. The bottom end, you've got pretty much nothing. So riding it around in traffic at low revs can be a little cumbersome. You keep needing to shift gears up and down to keep yourself in the power band. If you want to make overtakes, you need to keep it revved up really high. But when you're out on an open road, when you're out in the hills, it is really satisfying. You can rev it out freely to the red line. It sounds really good, and it has a chassis to match. This chassis is not as flickable as the Apaches, but it is more confidence inspiring. It feels really stable when you get it leaned over into bends. It feels very confident, and you can really have a good time on this motorcycle. Now, Bajaj has tuned the suspension to be sporty, so when you're riding it in the hills, you'll have a lot of fun. But it does come at the expense of ride quality. It is a tad bit firm. It doesn't deal with bad roads as comfortably and as effortlessly as the Apache. And that's just something you're going to have to live with if you do get a Pulsar. There are a few downsides to the Pulsar though. The tachometer and this instrument cluster is a bit dated. If I'm perfectly honest with you, I actually like the analog tacho. It's retro, you don't see it too much on motorcycles these days, and there's just something about a needle flying towards the red line that fills you with some sort of joy, and that can't be replicated with digital screens. That aside, it doesn't get something like a gear shift indicator, which I think is essential at this price point. You also only get single channel ABS. You do not have dual channel ABS on the NS at the moment. So to conclude, the Pulsar, it offers you great thrills, but on a budget. It's nowhere close to as expensive as the KTMs, but at the same time, it offers you nearly as much thrills. And I think that's a huge benefit. There are places that you'll notice that costs have been cut, but that's something you can live with and live with easily. The Pulsar is a really sorted machine. And here's how the Bajaj Pulsar NS200 fared in our performance tests. The RS200, it is essentially a naked version of the NS200, but it has radically different styling. The front end, in my opinion, is a bit overstyled, but I'm sure there are people out there who like it. What's the main difference between the RS and the NS? It has to be the ergonomics. Because this is a fully fed motorcycle, Bajaj has lowered the clip-on slightly, and that puts you in a slightly more committed riding position. Does that affect the riding experience drastically? Well, the good thing is this is not super committed. It's not like the KTM RC200. So you can actually ride it in everyday situations without too much trouble. Your wrists aren't burning, your back isn't hurting. You can ride it around town and it's not an issue. But at the same time, it feels a little more committed in the corners. So when you're out in the hills, when you're out riding on sportier roads, where you want to wring the motorcycle out a little bit, the RS, it just feels a little more connected to you. In terms of performance, it should be identical to the NS. You've got the same engine, the same drivetrain, the same power and torque figures. But when we put it down to the V-Box test, the RS actually came out a little bit slower, 0.2 seconds slower. So it did the 0 to 60 run in 4.2 seconds. And that's likely down to the extra weight that the RS is carrying due to this fairing. That aside, if I had to criticize the RS, I would say it's got a slightly dated cluster. It doesn't have the same Bluetooth features that the other bikes here have, but it does have dual channel ABS, which the NS does not get, which is a good thing. In terms of pricing, 1.6 lakh rupees ex-showroom, which is 20,000 bucks more than the NS. And I think that's a fair trade-off for all this extra bulk, the extra presence and the ABS. Here is how the Bajaj Pulsar RS200 fared in our performance tests. The KTMs are without a doubt the most enthusiast-focused motorcycles here. You've got the Duke and you've got the RC, but let's start with the Duke first. With the BS6 update, the Duke 200 got a major overhaul. So it wasn't just the exteriors, which now look like the 250 Duke, but under the skin as well, there were major changes. You now get the split trellis frame from the 390, and you also get revised ergonomics because this new platform is a little more spacious than the older one. In terms of power and performance, the KTMs, they one up the Bajajes, that's for sure. You've got 25.5 bhp, 19.5 Nm. And just pause for a second, compare that to the Xpulse T, and you'll realize how varied a set of motorcycles we have here. But back to this review. In terms of performance, those numbers translate to great times on the road. 0 to 60 kilometers an hour came up in less than 3.5 seconds. That makes the Duke 200 here the fastest, the quickest motorcycle in this test. Now in terms of the way it makes that power, most of the power is concentrated in the mid and the upper range of the rev band, but it is really punchy. It doesn't have the same rowdiness as the BS4 or the BS3 bikes. A little bit of it has been dulled down with the BS6 update, but it is still very rapid in the way it puts down its power. In terms of handling, the KTMs have always got it spot on. It's sharp, it's precise, and in the bends, you can really have a good time. But the compromise you have to make there is ride quality. It is a little bit stiff, stiffer than the Pulsars even, and it can get a bit cumbersome on bad roads. The ergonomics are really interesting on the 200 Duke. You sit really high up. It's almost like a supermoto style of riding position, and it has its own appeal, but it's not for everybody. That tall riding position makes it really easy to maneuver through traffic. So when you're in town and you want to weave through traffic and crowded roads, it's really easy to do on the Duke. But a problem with the Duke is the fact that this engine, which runs a very high compression, does tend to heat up. The KTM 200 Duke is a really competent street fighter. If you're looking for thrills, if you're looking for the thrill of riding, this is where you need to put your money. But it is a lot of money. At rupees 1.84 lakhs, it is a lot more expensive than a lot of bikes over there. And the on-road price can go to north of 2 lakh rupees, which is a lot. This is how the KTM 200 Duke fared in our performance tests. What's the coolest looking motorcycle on this test? To my eyes, it has to be the RC200. But I don't want to spend too much time talking about the looks. Let's talk about performance. The RC, it shares an engine with the Duke, just like the Bajaj twins share an engine. And in terms of outputs, they're identical. So same, 25.5 bhp, 19.5 Nm of torque. But the RC is a little heavier. It does have all of this fairing around it. In terms of the 0 to 60 times, it came out a little bit slower. It did it in a little under 3.9 seconds, which is about 0.4 seconds slower than the Duke. But the big change between the Duke and the RC are the ergonomics. Now this is a track focused machine and the seating position is exactly like you'd want it to be on the track. It's super committed. Your legs, they're tucked in high up. Your wrists, they're tucked down low. You get into a really racy position when you get onto the bike and, well, it's not the most comfortable, but it is extremely involving. Out on the street, it can get a little bit uncomfortable. In traffic, it is extremely cumbersome. But the thing about these motorcycles is they're only bought by hot-blooded enthusiasts and they don't seem to care if they're uncomfortable in traffic or anything of the sort. They buy these bikes for the way they look, for the way they go, and the RC is an absolute killer in that sense. Dynamically, the RC is extremely capable. You've got a lot of weight on the front end. You've got your seating position, which is very committed, and turning it in, getting it leaned over is really enjoyable. It's very racy and it feels that way whether you're on the track or on a nice winding road. Now the RC, if you're buying it to use on the road, you're going to have to live with a lot of compromises. The fact that the engine makes its power all the way up in the top of the rev band, the fact that it's not very comfortable, all of that. But if you buy it for the track, it's absolutely great. This is a great motorcycle to ride on the track, to learn and to hone your track riding skills, because it's not bite your head off scary, but at the same time, it has enough punch to keep you engaged, to keep you thrilled, and, well, it's just a lot of fun. And that's exactly what you want from a track motorcycle. The RC200, it is an expensive motorcycle. Rupees 2.04 lakhs is a lot of money. But then again, you're getting a lot of motorcycle for that money. Here is how the KTM RC200 fared in our performance tests. All these motorcycles offer you 200 cc's, but that's where the similarities end. They all have such different approaches to the same question that there's a motorcycle here for everybody. If you're on a budget, you've got to look at the heroes. They're extremely comfortable in the city, they're dynamically sound, and you may have to compromise a little bit in terms of performance, but otherwise, they're really good motorcycles. After that, you've got the Apache. The Apache, I would say, is the best all-rounder. It offers you the best of both worlds, the world of city commuting and the world of sporty riding. On the highways, it's a really fun, enthusiastic motorcycle, but it remains comfortable and it has the features to keep you comfortable in the city and on the daily commute. The Bajaj Pulsars, they're proper enthusiast motorcycles that offer you the thrill of riding on a budget. You've got to make a few compromises. They're not the most comfortable around the city. They're not the most feature-laden. They're not the most modern. But apart from that, they really offer you thrills and they do so at a great price. The KTMs are out and out enthusiast motorcycles, and if you don't have a budget, they are the ones I would wholeheartedly recommend. But not everyone's so lucky. Now the question is, which motorcycle is the one for you? And for that, you're going to have to ask yourself what you want from your motorcycle, and you're also going to have to ask your bank account with how much money it can lend you.